This is 33-year-old Emerita Mapp. Police believe that she went to a hotel room to meet two men who thought she was buying drugs. When she arrived, she stabbed both men, stole their drugs and money, and fled the scene. What Emerita doesn't know is that one of the two men died at the scene, and the other one is in critical condition at the hospital.
What happened?
Just fighting for my life.
Fighting for your life. Tell me about it.
Me and dude was cool or whatever. You know, I went to go chill, to hang out. I hung out for a minute or whatever.
Okay.
He was drinking.
With who?
Doing drugs.
Oh, with who?
Zach.
Zach?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're talking about the days and you went over there to chill?
Yeah. But later things started getting a little awkward. You know what I mean? It was like...
I don't want to go too fast, I'm sorry. Let's...
So
you said you were doing drugs, what were you guys doing?
Yeah, they were like smoking weed, it was like doing coke, drinking and stuff, you know what I'm saying? So we was chilling, and I was sitting on the bed, and it was like, I don't know, things started getting a little awkward, so I left. Down the street, I forgot the room key. So I turned around and went back. And as I went back, the other guy was gone. I don't know where he was, but he was just whistling in the room. And when I walked in, I said, yo, I forgot my room key. And he said, come on in. I walked in, and it wasn't on the bed anymore. And he locked the door. And I said, what's up? What's going on? I haven't hung out with him like that before, but like we were cool, you know what I mean? We were straight. I tried to clear it, and it was a struggle. He was struggling. It was a struggle. He was pulling my clothes. I had bruises on my legs when he was, you know, holding me down. Okay. And we was like bouncing back and forth in the room. He had a gun. He actually fired it off. But they had on the table, it was a knife, it was cigarettes, it was beer bottles, and I grabbed the first thing.
What was the first thing?
The first thing was a knife.
It was a knife?
Yeah.
Okay. So
First thing was a knife, and I stabbed him.
you stabbed Zach?
Yeah.
How did you stab him?
Like, I got him and I stabbed him.
In the front, in the back?
In front.
In the front? And where were you when you stabbed him in the room?
It was right in front of the door.
Right in front of the door?
And he chased me around the room, still.
Chased you around the room?
And the first thing I grabbed, he fell. He actually fired off. He fired off a shot. The first thing I grabbed. The second thing was a lamp. Impulse. It was all impulse.
A lamp?
Yeah. And
Where's that lamp
at? I started swinging the lamp. I'm not sure. I swung it. I swung it. I was so scared. I was so scared because I've never been in that situation before. Never in my life. I don't bother anybody. I'm not, you know, violent. I'm not, you know, I work. You know, there was nothing in there that I wanted of anybody. I was just trying to get out.
And
I was scared, and I thought he was going to be after me, so
what?
I stabbed him too.
Where did you stab him?
I don't remember. Everything was red, honestly.
So you stabbed them and then what?
And I cleared it.
You left? You didn't do anything else in the room? We need to take it a little bit slow.
I took that gun.
You took the gun? What else did you take?
Yeah, that's it.
That's it? You didn't take nothing else from them?
No.
Nothing. Okay. Let's retract a little bit, okay?
Emerita claims that as she was trying to leave, one of the two men began to get aggressive with her. He demanded that she stay, and when she refused, he attacked her. After stabbing and hitting the first male with a lamp, the second male walked in the door, and he too received the same treatment. The detectives know that most of what she is saying is a lie because they interviewed the surviving victim. That interview will be played later in this video.
It was like normal, you know. The vibe was good. Everything was good. The vibe was good. I was chilling. You know, I felt comfortable. And then it was like little gestures like, okay, have you ever had sex, or you ever did this, or, you know, like questions that made me feel uncomfortable. So the whole time,
Who was asking you those questions?
both of them was asking like weird questions.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I never even seen the
I was
other
gonna
guy.
ask who all was in the room.
Yeah, I don't even know the other guy. I can't tell you what his name.
How many people were in the room?
It was 3. Me.
2 dudes
Yeah.
and you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and then
Yeah, so
So you guys
you
are
know,
talking.
throughout the whole night, you know, that's how, you know, a couple hours, time flies by. And then I felt uncomfortable, and I said, okay, it's time for me to go.
time for you to go.
So what's going on?
Yeah.
And he said, so you finna have to suck some. You finna have to suck this.
Sack tells you that?
Yeah,
And
Zach?
yeah,
He told you that?
yeah.
Why? That's the second time you've hung out. You hung out all night, and then now he's gonna try and tell you to suck his.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Okay. And then what happens?
Like I told you, it was weird. It was asking weird questions, like, you know, I'm not trying to make this, it was making me very uncomfortable. It's real uncomfortable. That's why I said, okay, maybe it's about time for me to go. Later on in the evening.
Where you come back in, he opens the door, okay?
He's standing in front of the door.
He's standing in front of the door. He lets you in, and then where'd you go? You go to the bed? There's 2 beds, right?
Yeah,
You go to the
I
middle,
walk over to
and
him.
you look around for the key, and then what
Turn around,
happens?
and he's like standing there. He's like standing there.
He's standing there,
Yeah. Looking at me.
and he says, what
He's
did you
like,
do?
you finna have to suck some. Like, I don't know if he was insinuating whether or not to get my key back, or or whatever.
So what is he doing during this time? Is he just saying that, or is he,
Oh, he's saying that. So I
And-
start walking towards the door.
You start
He
walking
wouldn't
towards the
let me
door.
out.
was the door shut or open
No,
still?
it was shit.
It was shut? Okay, so he is standing in front of the door and you're trying to go through the door? You're trying to leave? You're trying to leave. And then what happened?
We start fighting.
You started fighting?
He had a gun. He had the gun.
When did the gun come out?
He been showing me with a gun.
He what?
He had a gun out.
When?
When does it gonna come out? I mean,
After we started fighting.
after you start fighting?
It was all over the room. But the first thing I grabbed was on that table.
Was on this
Was
table?
on that table was a knife. It was cigarettes. It was beer. It was drugs on that table. And that's the first thing I grabbed.
That was the first thing you grabbed. And then,
Yeah.
so you're both fighting at
And I
this point.
stabbed it.
And then you stabbed him. And then when does the gun come out?
Yeah, the gun was already out.
So our question, I guess, is when does the gun come out at this point?
When I ran to the table.
When you ran to the table, you run to the table because you guys are fighting, and I guess he sees you reaching for something, he pulls out the
Pulls out,
gun.
yeah.
Okay, so then, does he come after you here, or do you go back over him, or what
He was
happens?
coming after me the whole time. We was
Okay.
going at it the whole time.
So then you stab him from there?
Yeah.
And it was in the front?
Yeah.
Okay,
And I heard a knock on the door.
you heard a knock on the door,
I got scared.
you got scared, okay?
And he came in. The
Who
other
came
guy-
in?
The other guy came in.
The other guy, who was the other guy? The other guy that had been
The
with
other
you?
guy was there. I don't know.
The other guy you had to hang out with earlier in that morning? So he comes back, and so you let him in, or does he let himself in? Okay, so maybe he has a key then, maybe. Okay, so he let himself in, and what happens?
And I stabbed him
Where did you stab him?
in the neck.
In the neck. So you were on the other side of that, pretty much that wall there with that door. So as soon as the door opened, he walks in. Does the door shut behind him?
Yeah.
It shuts behind him, and then you stab him,
And I cleared it.
and then you left.
The detectives know that Emerita is lying, and they plan on getting aggressive with her and calling her out for her lies. But before we finish her interrogation, let's take a look at what the surviving victim said about what happened.
We were kind of hanging out, drinking some beers, and he said one of his friends or someone he knew that was gonna come through, and she did, thinking she was looking to buy drugs. I'm not sure.
What makes you think that?
Well, Zach was known to sell drugs.
Okay.
I'm not sure. She was there for a while, early in the morning, around sunrise, and when I got back to the room, Zachary was on the floor. The other lady was still there. I don't remember her name. I saw Zach on the floor, and the next thing I know, the lady had put a knife to my throat. my throat over next to where the bathroom was at, by the sink. She then pulled a gun out, told me to lay down and be quiet. In which case, she went through my pockets, took everything that I had on me, at least as far as I know. And I just kind of laid there with my eyes closed and played dead until I heard the door shut. Once I heard the door shut, I started knocking some things over, trying to make some noise, which didn't seem to help. So I crawled for the front door and made it out onto the sidewalk, and some tourists or some bystanders had saw that I needed help. They proceeded to call 911.
The victim's story is much different than Emerita's. In his version of events, his friend had already been killed and was in the process of being robbed when he walked into the hotel room. He too was also robbed and then almost killed. Let's continue watching Emerita's interrogation and see if the detectives can get her to tell the truth.
Homeboy tells you you're gonna have to suck it, whatever he says. Alright. You don't see your room key here. You realize that he's standing in front of the door?
No, I turned around and he was.
Okay.
I'm like, what's up, bro?
And then what did you do?
Try to get out.
Okay.
He come towards me. That's why he was tussling. He wouldn't let me out. That's the whole conflict. If he would have let me out, then I wouldn't have felt like I had to fight. I wouldn't have felt like I had to defend myself. I wouldn't have felt like that.
Okay. What happened to the weapons?
What happened to it? I took the weapon. I took the weapon. I don't know where the knife at.
Okay. And where's the gun at?
The gun? It was in my book bag.
Where's that at?
It was in my book bag in the trunk.
It's in the car.
Check my history. I'm not violent.
We did.
High school, I played soccer. I played basketball. My mom's a school teacher. My father wasn't in my life, but who cares? But he lives here now. You know what I mean? I can tell you the history of my life. I was raised in a good home. My mother raised me.
Yeah.
I worked ever since I got out of high school. I don't mess with anybody. I went DUI, theft by taking. That's what my charges are. I'm on probation right now. I went to jail because I violated probation. You know? And the reason why I violated probation because I'm not used to that. I'm not used to that shit being on probation, having to pay. So I'm careless with stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Why not report it?
Scared it was a lose-lose to me. That's what I'm thinking. It's just two white guys as me. With a loss, y'all ain't gonna believe that shit. Y'all ain't gonna believe the fact that I'm trying to fight for my life. Y'all ain't. So I didn't want to tell you that. It's a lose-lose, bro. I know it is. It's a lose-lose. I'm telling you the truth. You don't even believe that.
No,
it's a lose-lose, bro.
It's not that.
It is.
It's not that, because we're trying to understand it. I'm
telling you.
Because here's the thing. We've got evidence inside the room. We've got evidence on the bodies. We got evidence over here. And we're just trying to. That's the reason why we've gone over that a couple times, because that story right there really.
I know you see struggle in the room. I didn't do it. It was struggle, bro.
Right.
Yeah.
But
that's a guy. I'm a girl. Regardless of what I look like.
Right.
Regardless, I don't lift weights. I don't. You know what I mean? I don't do strenuous activities. I lift plates. I serve tables. That's what I do.
I don't think those guys either. I don't think either of those guys lift weights either.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest.
I can't take.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not like these are freaking muscle boys.
You never know, but still.
Eating their protein and shit.
But even if that's the case, why do that to the second guy? Like, he didn't really show any aggression towards you.
I didn't know that.
The detective wants to know why she would attack the second man, who was just coming back to the room after grabbing something to eat. If she had to fight off the first man and she already had control of both weapons, why attack the man that just came through the door?
Really? I mean, like, bro, you could have been like, I'm out. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it was, but you freaking shanked a dude.
Why not shoot him in the leg? Or
dude, homeboy was. I mean, whatever happened between you and Zach was done.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But this dude's just a straight up. Was it because you're like, he knows who I am, or
I
what?
don't know who I am.
Okay, so then that's gone. That excuse is gone. I mean, like,
I was scared, honestly. I didn't know what the he was gonna come in there and do. I didn't know what he was gonna do. And my mind at that moment was defense.
like, homeboy was straight up like an innocent bystander. I mean, this guy is just at the.
It was defense. And clear.
How is it defense?
Because I didn't know what he was gonna do.
So let me run a scenario by you. I'm walking down a busy street, a busy sidewalk. Dude comes by me. I don't know what he's gonna do. Do I have the right to just stab him?
But that's not a good scenario.
Okay. I get into a fight with dude A.
You're about to be. Let's say you in jail.
Okay.
You in a cell. You finna be. Say room this big.
Okay.
Okay. You about to. You defending yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what the this man finna come in here and do. You know he got a roommate.
Mm-hmm.
You know all y'all in jail. You fighting for your life. You do what you. He gave me a scenario.
Mm-hmm.
You do what you gotta do to try to get out of there.
Okay.
He come in. What's your first instinct? You're not thinking about anything.
If I got a gun, a knife in my hand,
it's off impulse.
Yeah, but in jail, you're in jail. You had the freedom to run out, to push him out. Hell, there was a phone in the room.
Off impulse.
You know what I'm saying? There was a phone in the room.
Impulse.
Okay.
It's all impulse.
But impulse is taught. Impulse is not, I mean, it's something that you've done before. We've already established that you're not a violent person. I could understand if you had been through 8 million fights, you've done this, you've trained, whatever it is.
Emerita begins getting emotional as she tells the detectives that she has been devastated by what happened. The detectives decide to play along and sympathize with her, hoping to get her to confess that her intentions were to rob the two men.
It's been so hard. I don't know if they did or not, bro. Like, it's been so hard. It's like, oh my God, like, I don't know. You know, you can't go on life like that, man. You drive yourself crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely, man. But see, that's more reasonable right there. That explains a little bit more. Look, you trying to leave. He doesn't let you leave, right? He don't let you leave. Is he thinking that you owe him some money for the party?
He telling me what I'm finna have to do.
Oh, he thinks that he was like chilling with you and giving you bumps of shit for a favor that maybe you didn't agree to. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know what it was. It had to be the drugs, man.
Had to be the drugs? Had to be the
He
drugs.
was like that, man. He was cool. That's why I felt comfortable. If I didn't feel comfortable, I wouldn't have put myself in that situation.
No, I got you.
You know?
But at the same time, you gotta remember, this guy's slinging dope. And the fact of the matter is he's, supplying you somewhat, letting you party a little bit, chilling. Maybe he feels like, yo, you owe me something.
Well, what we're getting at is too, it's a product, you know what I'm saying? He's putting out a product. It's anything else. It's just like a service. He expects something, and anyone expects something. You know, if you come to my store and I give you a product, I'm expecting payment. So do you think in his mind, or had it been discussed or anything on what was, or this was just straight up party favors? He supplied something, just says come over for a good time, hang out. You guys didn't discuss, I don't want to see anything in records like you guys talked about purchasing or anything. Did you talk about buying anything off him? No? He just said come chill, hang out, let's have a good time?
Nothing. I didn't go to the bathroom. I didn't wash my hands. I didn't do any of that. Nothing happened in that area. What happened was I ran around this room running from this guy right here.
Okay.
He is the initial motherfucker, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Did I intend on whatever happened to him? No. But what I was going to do, I was going to get up out of there. And that's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go back for that. I went back. My car was still running. It was quick. He wouldn't let me out. I looked dead in this black lady face outside.
What'd you say?
I didn't say anything, but I looked at her. It was see you walking by, I look at you. It was broad daylight.
I can understand like a measure that's taken, a strike or something like that to create distance to get the fuck out of Dodge, but that's not the case on Zach. You know, that is not the case with Zach. That was not a single blow, create distance and get the fuck out of Dodge, you know? What the hell happened with Zach?
No, he wouldn't let me out.
But
He wouldn't let me out.
okay, but your first stab was in the chest.
He kept coming for me. He kept coming for me.
So where did you go
He
Where-
kept coming for me.
okay.
He kept coming for me, man.
Where did you
I believe
go?
that, but I don't think it was for like. I don't think it was for those motives though. To try to get to you.
So you don't?
Huh?
So you don't think for what motives?
For the motive that you said earlier, I don't know about that. You know,
Yeah.
I think he thought he was entitled to something.
You strike him in the chest. Where did you go?
I ran. He kept coming. He
Okay,
kept
where
coming
did you
out.
go? Where did you go from here?
I ran across. I jumped across the bed. He chased me the whole time.
Uh-huh.
It was a lamp. The lamp I picked up. I turned around and I swung at him. He fell.
Okay. Ultimately, like, if you wouldn't have been near these guys, this shit wouldn't have happened. And you're probably there for the wrong reasons, you know what I'm saying?
Just to hang out. That's what I was thinking.
And you say maybe if the drugs weren't there, the drugs are a contributing factor to this happening.
I think the drugs are a contributing factor of what the hell he was thinking, because he ain't act like that when I first met him. So what else could it have been, you know? I know y'all might not believe that.
No, we
I'm
see the
surprised-
effects.
I'm surprised,
No,
so,
we
like,
see
I'm
it.
so seriously. It's like, what's up, bro?
We see this
What
every
the
day.
fuck?
And there's something component to this, I think. Whether it's money or whatever the heck it is. The drugs. At the end, he was a drug dealer. And guess what? To move what he has, people give him money for that. Right? That's what he does. Everybody we talk to, they know. Sack deals dope. They know. You know that. You've got stuff from him before. We know that. We can prove that.
The detectives are trying to show that Emerita knew that her first victim was a drug dealer. By establishing this, they can show that Emerita had motive to rob and kill him.
What did you get from him this time?
I didn't get anything. I hung out.
You didn't leave with anything? Or you were supposed to leave with something, but you didn't leave with something.
I leave with that.
Did he
I left
always?
with his gun. I left with his backpack. That's what I left with. I left with a lamp.
Was there any drugs in the
I
backpack?
don't know what was in that. I thought I tossed it. I remember
Well,
stabbing
you
him.
stabbed them
This is what I
many
see.
times. Listen, you stabbed them so many times, it's almost too many times to count.
You know, impossible.
No, it's
Oh, it's
possible.
possible. We have a body that's
How do I remember
possible.
that? I remember the lamp. I remember stabbing him once.
Look, it was a hard moment. We understand. It was a moment where you.
I don't remember stabbing him more than that one
Shit was
time.
overkill.
I don't
But
remember.
I don't know if there's
stabbing
such thing. There shouldn't be
him. I
killed,
wouldn't have done that.
but you did.
I ain't asked for no lawyer. I ain't asked for shit.
Right.
I came in voluntarily. How come I ain't saying shit to you? I ain't asked for nothing. I ain't even asked to speak to my mom. I love my mother to death.
Yeah.
You hear me?
I got you.
Seriously.
We all got
I'm sitting here by
moms.
myself. Okay?
Yeah.
I am cooperating.
Absolutely.
Telling you the full truth. I don't telling you the truth.
Okay. Well, for whatever reason, that you don't recall any of that, they're just a little bit different. Just that's peace of mind. Just think about that. We'll talk about it later. We'll deal with it later. Whatever it is, you'll see it later.
In the end, prosecution was able to prove that Emerita planned the robbery in advance, so they were able to convict her of first-degree murder. Emerita was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. What are your thoughts on this case? Do you think someone who plans out a murder should receive life in prison or the death penalty? Please share your thoughts in the comments below.